Chiesa gallops forward with Morata ahead of him. And Chiesa to Ronaldo. And Ronaldo! Hat-trick against Cagliari once again. A masterpiece of a goal. A masterclass from a player at the very top of his game.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. Can't get it done versus Porto. I guess the only way to answer is to score a hat trick versus Cagliari. Hat trick at the wrong time for Ronaldo, if you want to put it that way. Joining us this week here on the Calcio Guys, Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni. We have Monica Lauriola, a host of the Rejuvenation podcast. Monica, how's it going?
Thanks for having me on. I mean, it's kind of mixed feelings to be a Juve fan right now, so I guess that's how it's going.
Before we get started, what we normally do with our guests, we want to know how they became fans of teams they're fans of. So tell us how come you became a Juve fan?
I guess it really stems from my dad. He was born in Italy, and growing up, he was actually studying to be a priest, and like in his I don't know what they call it, but all the guys that he was around with were watching Juve, and I guess one of his mentor was a big Juve fan. He got into Juve that way, and then obviously he didn't become a priest, he just, I guess, brought it on to my brother and I. And what really stuck with me is obviously in my era, it's like Del Piero. So I haven't looked back ever since.
So obviously throughout the years, you've probably seen some good Juves. You've seen some unfortunate Juves. I started like really watching, like I'm only 25. So I really started watching and can remember the Calciopoli. That's when I started basically. My I guess first memory of soccer is the World Cup. Like I can remember every little thing about the World Cup in 2006 and like bits and pieces prior. So really, I became a Juve fan at the worst time. So, I mean, yeah, I get that, but you know what? It's not always like bad. I mean, you still seen about 9 Scudetti right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because it was always Inter until 2010. Then it was Milan in 2011, and then it was Juve since. So look, you've seen 9 league championships. I've only seen one in my life, so I mean, at least that's something, And speaking of league games, the recent Cagliari game, what do you make of that, especially after the whole Champions League fixture? But, I guess take out frustrations in Cagliari. What do you make of it?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a team fighting like in a relegation zone. So I don't want to make too much of it. Even, heading into that Lazio game before the Porto match, everyone was hyping that win. And, I didn't really see much to get hyped over. We're a team that has constantly had to fight back in games. And like our first halves have been atrocious, and there's no, concentration and I guess leadership in this team if we have to keep, coming back and trying to overturn results. So, I mean, it's Cagliari. That I think that's how I would put it. Obviously, an important 3 points if you're trying to make a run for the title, and Inter doesn't really seem like they're slipping up, and Napoli beating Milan, I guess, kind of helps us too in a way, with 1 point behind Milan now. So I guess to make that push, of course, it's important, but the result itself and the performance itself, that's expected. And maybe it's bigger because, we've dropped points to Benevento and Crotone, but, I'm not one of those fans that get too up or down about this team, especially this season, because they've shown to be inconsistent. They actually remind me of Roma this season, to be honest. You never know which team is going to come out of, like, step on the field. You don't know what you're going to get from this team anymore. Whereas in the past, teams feared Juve, and I feel like no one fears Juve anymore, and rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I think, obviously, with all the changes that's been going on, Monica, I think you can agree. It was never going to be easy. Yeah, they've won 9 Scudetti in a row. This was the big, one for to make it number 10. And just, from league play to European play, I just kind of want to get your thoughts about, Juve Champions League. Obviously, everybody knows the results. Everybody knows what happened. We just kind of want to, know your take on everything, talking about that Porto match. And just, I guess if you want to say disappointment, because, obviously, we had expressed our feelings about it. It's pretty disappointing how they went out. And this is not a one-year thing. This is kind of like an accumulation of years, right? So we just kind of want to, hear what you have to say about that and, just Juve and Champions League in general.
Well, obviously, it's been disappointing. If we go back to Allegri's final season and going out to Ajax, I mean, I think you can make the argument. You look at that Ajax team, and everyone's gone on that Ajax team because they were actually, potentially world-class players. If not at the time, then, now becoming or whatnot. So, understandable to be upset. And, that season in particular, it looked like Allegri's tenure was coming to an end regardless, I think, of that result. But, I think you can maybe make the argument about that one and fine. In terms of, the year after with Sarri, I didn't really like Sarri's appointment anyway. So I don't know if my feelings about that year will be biased. But no excuse. I don't know what was Lyon, like 7th place in their respective league that year, something like that. Like, that's unacceptable. But you saw in that play, it wasn't even promising because the whole season was waiting for Ronaldo or Dybala to bail us out. So you don't even get feelings of we're actually gonna make a run for it. So maybe I guess that makes it a little bit better because there's like not even an expectation. Like, I think there's an expectation because we're Juventus and because we have Ronaldo on our team. But it kind of doesn't go further than that, unfortunately. And, this season, I think we just got it wrong from the beginning. The first leg when we went to Porto, I think we just got the whole approach wrong. Porto's a team that hadn't conceded at home the whole Champions League campaign thus far. Facing a team like Manchester City, who, couldn't even score on them in the Dragao. So, you see that and you do this approach. I mean, I have my thoughts about Pirlo and his style of play, which clearly this personnel cannot play. So I just don't understand why, you would set yourself up to lose. And I understand that Bentancur, made an error right at the first minute, but I guess that comes back to, us having poor first halves and like never learning from our mistakes, playing out from the back when clearly we couldn't get out of the press the whole game because you're missing guys like Arthur and Bonucci, who are the only players who are actually comfortable with the ball on their feet in tight spaces. So, I mean, you know all of those things before going into the game, and you still choose to play this way, which doesn't make sense. And not only that, but we didn't offer anything that whole game. We were lucky to actually get an away goal. So it's really disappointing. And then, I said before the game, I actually thought that we would win 2-0 at home. But I said within my prediction, if we concede one goal, we're out. Like, just even one goal, we're out. Because I actually was not confident in us scoring 3 goals to win 3-1. We did, but then we conceded both, right? So, like, I think just people hope based on, like for the Scudetto, for example, people still hope that and like have a sense of belief that we're going to win the 10th Scudetto. But I think it's more based on, us winning 9 in a row and we haven't lost one yet. So people are just, hang on to that. And I think it's the same notion for Champions League. We're hanging on to the notion that, we have Ronaldo and we're Juventus, but like we're not good enough. And, people, I guess, I don't know, they just see it on paper and maybe I can admit that's sometimes me as well, but they go on the field and they don't know what they're doing. There's no identity and no plan. And you go and hire an inexperienced coach. So what do you really expect? It's kind of this in between where, are we rebuilding with Ronaldo? It kind of just doesn't. It kind of clashes for me, and it pissed me off when Nedved actually kicked the boards at the end of the game because, like this is you. This is what you like. What did you expect? Like, are we rebuilding, or did you expect the Champions League? Because there's no way that you guys sat at the table before the season started and said, all right, Pirlo, just get out of the group stage in the Champions League. There's no way that conversation went that way with Cristiano Ronaldo making 60 million a year or something like that. Like, there's no way. Like, and how do people expect Juve to create a team behind Ronaldo if you can't make it out of the round of 16? Where is this money coming from? And I'm sure, every team has investors and stuff like that. I don't know anything about the finances, but Juve has to sell players in order to buy players. Like, it's just a fact where, we lose Cancelo, Keane, and whatever to fund the De Ligt move. Like, we're not Real Madrid, Man City, and PSG. Like, we're not going to better this team and fill all the holes without, progressing in the Champions League and, progressing in Serie A as well, which, I mean, it was a big win for Cagliari, but, we also have to make sure that we keep it up and don't lose points because everyone's tight in the top 4 as well. So, yeah, disappointing, I guess. Short answer. Disappointment, with Pirlo, the guys, the management, it's from top to bottom. It's been a disaster. And the plan has been a failure.
Pretty much everything you said. We kind of have social media questions related to that. I'll start from one from Kicking Cleats on Instagram. Will Juve cash in on Ronaldo? So are they gonna basically? Is he gonna be a Juventus player next season?
I think he will, only because I actually really do think that he loves the club and his lifestyle right now. I don't know if he'll extend his contract. I think it just depends on, I think it depends on his priorities, Juve's priorities. For me, if he takes a pay cut and realizes we can make a better team, if and this is about the extension. If we can make a better team, if you take a little bit less, there's more to go around, obviously. If he opts for that, I'm for it. I think if there's a time to cash in, obviously it has to be this year because his contract's going to expire. And then, you're going up to 40 years old. Who the hell is going to want to, buy you and pay not even just a transfer fee, but pay his wages at that point, right? That's often why players rot at Juve and we can't get rid of them. Like Higuain, Khedira, Mandzukic, Matuidi, we're Khedira, all these guys going for free because we've extended them to longer contracts with wages that no club is gonna pay, like no club is going to top that. So why are they going to leave? Everyone rips on those players who, like Kadira, who they're like, aren't you going to leave? Don't you want to play, like get playing time? Why would they? Because they're not going to get that money. Just see your contract out, right? So I think that becomes an issue as well. I think it also depends on the Dybala situation. Because, like, if you're going to pay one guy 30 mil salary a year, and then Dybala, is potentially going up to 15 mil, I can't see that working as well. If we don't make top four, obviously he's gone for both financial reasons and sporting reasons. He's not going to want to play in the Europa League. Why would you? And we're not going to be able to afford him in that sense. So I think he stays. But I don't know if I would extend his contract, or I think extending his contract would depend on, what he wants, his goals with Juve. If he actually wants to win the Champions League with Juve, he can't be on that high of a salary for a longer period of time.
Yeah, and Monica, I feel like as if you touched a great point, especially with the whole contract situation where players are getting these type of contracts and they just eventually just rot away at Juve. It's actually well said because, you never see much movement of players going out of them. And then, who was it? Was it Ramsey that got a ridiculous contract from, even though it was a free transfer, it was some high amount. Nicholas or Monica, maybe you can correct.
Both Ramsey and Rabiot are on 7 mil a season or a year, whatever, and they're both brought in for free.
Yeah,
and you know what? It's just to go on that, Monica. People think it's a free move, but you still got to pay the salary, right? It's not all free, right? So they are taking a hit on that, and exactly, nothing's free in life. But I'm glad you brought that up because people have this thing in their head. It's like, okay, yeah, they brought him on for free, whatever, all these moves, but you still got to pay a salary. And like you said earlier, who's paying $7 million for a Ramsey? I'm sorry, you're not going to get that from another club or a Rabiot, where one day he's on, one day he's off, right? So, anyways,
and like that kind of relates to a question that was asked from Calcio Fan Blogs, our friend Joseph there. It's about Juve's management, and particularly, why do you think Juve's upper management has gotten too complacent lately?
Well, why do you have to change if you're, walking through Serie A, right? But I think it's a big failure I don't even know really how to answer that question. I think they achieved the goal of expanding their brand, which obviously, started with the change of the crest. And then, they even took the Juventus script, like Juventus, out of the crest, just to make it like a fashion thing, no one wants to wear, I guess, letters of Juventus, Real Madrid, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just a J now. So, it's style, I guess. And then, obviously bringing in Ronaldo. But I really think that, all that considered, no one really still knows you because you suck in Europe. And I feel like to actually successfully extend the brand, they need to do well in Europe, and they haven't. So, I don't even know if they check that box. They got sponsors, whatever, but I feel like even that's a failure. And then, management, what? Yeah, like why would they want to change, right? I think they've accomplished, with whatever they wanted to do with Ronaldo. I just can't see him, coming in and them not doing that move without a Champions League in mind. So. And I was saying, if the Champions League, in 2018, when we got knocked out of Ajax, I said, if this management is actually, all in for the Champions League, they should fire Allegri right there. But they're never like it's always like the Serie A is the goal. So I guess that's the answer why they haven't, changed anything, because they've always come out and said Serie A is an objective and Champions League is a dream, because they're losers like that, I guess. Because I don't know why, I love the dominance in Serie A, but this 10 in a row, I'd change this 10 in a row for a Champions League. I would lose the 10 Scudetto for a Champions League. No, like 100%. You know, you gotta have like higher aspirations than that. And you know, it's hard for me to grasp anything less with Cristiano Ronaldo on your team.
Yeah, just quickly, just want to interject, like what you said right there, like 10 Scudetti for one Champions League title is something. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who's a diehard Milan fan, and I was telling him how, like, you know, like Napoli winning the Coppa Italia was great and stuff, you know, like, and we had to beat a team like Milan to do it to get to like on the way there. And he's like, yeah, but it wasn't a big deal for us. I'm like, but it's a championship, you know. It's like, so I was like, yeah, but when your regular thing is winning Champions League titles, what's a Coppa Italia? You know, like, he's like, no disrespect. So it kind of translates to what Juve, when you're season in and out winning a Scudetto after Scudetto, you know, it's like, okay, great, this is the norm. But what we're trying to achieve is a Champions League title. It's not to earn an additional star on the jersey. For us, this is normal, standard. So well said for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would change Liverpool's short cycle for this Juve cycle, like in a heartbeat. You know, they achieved everything they needed to in a short span. And you know what we've, I guess, been trying to achieve for the last 5-6 years. They did it, you know, very quickly. And this year, you know, I think you can argue that their team has been handicapped. So it was an easy run for Man City to climb up the table there with, you know, half of their team on long-term injuries. But, you know, they won the Premier League, or won the Champions League, won the Premier League. So, I mean, what more is there to win, right? You know, you achieved your cycle, and it was short, and I guess you can argue that they got lucky not playing, you know, Real Madrid or whatever. They played a shitty Tottenham team. And, you know, I feel like Juve has some terrible luck in Europe, and the both times we made the final, we played against, you know, one of the best teams in the world in that Real Madrid team. You know, even their bench had World Cup winners, world-class players, and so forth. And then, I mean, we lost to Neymar, Suarez, and Messi when they were just scoring goals for fun. So, I don't know. I just think that Champions League is, you know, what separates you from being a good team and, you know, the best team or a world-class team. And I think we categorize Juve in world class because of the dominance in Serie A, but maybe we shouldn't.
Wow. Dropping bombs. I mean, this is crazy. I love this. You know, Monica. You know, you're spitting straight fire. I think. You know,
it's nice to see it coming from the friendly side. You know, it's usually us just crap talking.
Like, do we have a Juve fan on, or who do we have on? But no. Jokes.
We have a realist. Like,
there you go. So jokes aside, you know? Exactly. And you know what? We appreciate you know, you diving in deep into these questions and really expressing, you know, the way you feel, because I think sometimes, you know, like upper management, like our buddy Joe said about being complacent, I think maybe some fans can be that way as well, right? So I think, you know, you're on it tonight. That's for sure. But you know, when you're talking about you know, going from, I guess, a great team to a world-class team, and you know, one thing with Juve, if you want to just take, you know, the past, I don't know, 5-6 years, whatever it's been since you know, that midfield really got broken up, you know, that dominant midfield. And this has been a thing that you jump onto any podcast, you jump onto Calcio Twitter, you know, talking about Juve, that's been an issue now for you know, a couple of years, right? So we got a question from our good friends Pizza Calcio on Instagram, and they asked you know, prediction of for what the midfield will look like next year. Now, I don't know if you have any names in mind, Monica. I don't know if you have any dream signings. I don't know where you want to go with this question. Obviously, we know, you know, McKennie, who's been a bright spot, I think, personally, on this Juve team, is sticking around. Where do they need to go to really fix, and I mean truly fix, you know, this midfield?
You know, I'd even question McKennie. I know that he looks like he's kind of nursing an injury, so whatever, that it is what it is. But you know, is McKennie on your Champions League final starting 11? I'm not sure of that, right? he's obviously a solid, he's Juventus material from what I've seen so far, whether it be, in the starting 11 or off the bench. He for sure deserves a spot on the team. And obviously he deserves a spot in this midfield because it's just terrible. Who I think that, the management, who I think that we're going to end up with is Locatelli for sure. I don't have, I'm not going to sit here and say, I want this guy so badly. I see glimpses here and there of what he can be. And, you kind of look at any midfielder and be like, wow, I wish he was on Juve because our midfield is so bad. If you have the opportunity to sign Gosens, which is kind of like in the rumor mix, I would, because I think he suits the formation and Pirlo's play really well in that 4-4-2. And our left side is atrocious. I don't care what Daniel Lucci says. Bernardeschi sucks. Okay,
fuck.
so
fuck.
Calling him out.
So whatever he wants to say, we're not relying on Bernardeschi or else we have an issue, right? And Alexandro looks like he can't move. So I really would like the Gosens move a lot. And so I would say Gosens, Locatelli, I think we're going to get regardless if I want him or not. I think it's an obtainable purchase. I think the relationship is good with Sassuolo, and he's Italian. I feel like it's just an easy buy. There shouldn't be really any complications. I feel like he would pick Juve over Manchester City because he'd be like an automatic starter on Juve. And he's Italian. I feel like he would rather stay in Italy rather than going to Manchester, especially, if you're going to go to England, it'll probably be London, the most attractable area in England. So I think we're going to end up with him. I think there's floating DePaul and Aouar. I don't really have much opinions on them. For me, I think if you get Locatelli and let's say Gosens, I think a guy which I know is not going to happen, Pogba and, Milinkovic-Savic, I think you need one of those profiles to complete the midfield. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I don't think it will. I mean, if you look at this team, if Chiellini retires, we're screwed. Yeah. Number one, we got to fill that hole. Let's say Buffon hangs them up too. You got to fill another hole. Okay. This is kind of, I guess, the worst case scenario. Demiral keeps getting injured and he stinks. So that's a problem. Alexandro, like I said, that left side is atrocious. Cuadrado and Danilo are bright spots. They'll stay in the team. The midfield is kind of up in the air. Then you have, guys like Deschilio coming back, Rugani, Douglas Costa, who's on high wages. You got to get rid of all these guys. And, if you don't, then they potentially go out on loan again and you can't sell anyone. So I don't know really where the money's going to come from. And then, you still have that Dybala situation and, that's kind of up in the air. If you get rid of Dybala, obviously you got to get a second guy up there, backup striker, or I don't know, bet on Kulusevski, which is also doesn't excite me. Obviously, Chiesa is going to be a pillar for this Juventus team for years to come, and that's pretty much it. So, all of these holes you have to fill. I can't see them, getting 3 midfielders. I can see them getting 2 at most, and it won't be Pogba because, we're not going to buy a guy for 100 million and, pay his wages as well. The only way I see Juve making a purchase of that stature is Dybala going the other way for, at least 60 mil. And would I do it? Absolutely.
Another bomb. Excellent.
One last question from our friend Daniel Lucci. He wrote on Instagram. He wrote Nick versus Monica in a heated debate on Pirlo and why he shouldn't or shouldn't stay. and who realistically would you pick up as his replacement? And then he wrote no one because he isn't leaving. I mean, I don't have much to add to this. I don't think Pirlo should leave just because it would be a bad look to have 4 different managers in 4 years. You know, I think Juve made a statement when they hired him, basically said, you know, we are going to go through some type of rebuilding. Obviously, as you said, maybe the type of players that management has signed hasn't shown any of that rebuilding. You know, they kind of are in between. But I think with Pirlo, they wanna try to start a new cycle, and you know that means maybe going through some growing pains as him as a coach. So you know if they're gonna fire him at the end of the season, personally I think that would make no sense. You need to ride him out as long as it takes, and you obviously need to give him the right pieces. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I feel this way. Okay, so Allegri was given, you know, obviously in his first few years, an amazing team he inherited for sure. And then we started to sell without replacing. So he was left with, you know, a midfield too of Pjanic and Khedira, and he still trotted his way to a Champions League final. So I want to ask you this question. We have this team that we do today. You know, if Allegri or Ancelotti or Mancini, one of those guys are behind our bench, are we this crappy?
I don't think we're much better, to be honest.
Do we bow out of the Champions League in the round of 16 to Porto, the worst Porto in years?
I mean, that's what they did, you know, past 3 years, right? So I don't think it's a coaching thing.
So the solution is hire a guy who didn't have his license to start the season? That's the solution? I don't know about that, right?
Maybe that wasn't the solution, obviously, but they did it, and I think you have to grow with it. Personally, I think you can't, like I said, four coaches in 4 years for a team, you know, of Juve that has Ronaldo, you know, that's a terrible look.
It shows the management doesn't know what they're doing, right? It doesn't really show much about the coaches. It shows the incompetence of the management, because they could have actually rebuilt with Allegri, a guy who has proven to you that he was just a few pieces away from winning the Champions League, and had said that, like, give me like 2 midfielders, and he wanted Milinkovic-Savic and these things, right? And you know, people were upset because it didn't look nice with Allegri, and the Juve management has said, you know, about Pirlo's season or whatever, that we're like look better kind of thing, like it's a positive football or whatever. But what does that even mean? I don't understand that notion at all, right? Like, you basically handed the Scudetto to whoever wanted it by using this approach. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm not saying that it's just on Pirlo, because it's mostly on the management. Because like you said, 3 coaches in 3 years, you know, it says more about the management than the coaches, but I don't think that despite that, it was the best choice anyway. Like 2 wrongs don't make a right. So I feel like both situations are negative, the management, and I didn't really agree with Pirlo being brought in the final years of Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, I think it was a bulletproof appointment. If it went wrong, they have Pirlo, the wine guy, dressed nicely with a nice beard and nice hair, and you know, looks like a Juve, you know, whatever Juve traditionally looks like, as opposed to Sarri, you know, smoking cigarettes and in a tracksuit. And Pirlo's a fan favorite, so you know, if it didn't work out, like people are giving him the benefit of the doubt and blaming the team. You know, they blame the team when we lose, but praise Pirlo when we win. So I don't really get that. But And then if it worked out, then it was, management looks like geniuses because it's like a Zidane thing. So, it was a bulletproof appointment. I try to look at it, from a whole perspective, not one. I know there's issues on all fronts. And like I said, it's a failed project regardless. But I don't know. I think that's all I have to say on that.
No, and I think, just to bounce quickly off that, Monica, I mean, sometimes, like at this point in time, who is Juve realistically going to get, right? You bring up, Pirlo being kind of the low risk, high reward type of option, because if he failed, okay, well, it was Pirlo. He just got his license coaching, and if he did really well, I'm like, oh my God, Juve, this was a brilliant move. We got him on the cheap, let's say, and he's doing all this for our club. But I don't know. I think it was a weird time to obviously change for Juve. With the coaching. I don't know. I think just before we let you go, Monica, you're talking a lot with the upper management, and I think it's becoming more and more evident that. That might be a crucial issue with this club. Does there need to be a clean of house at Juve? Does Paratici need to go? Is Nedved gone? Like, what's the solution for you in upper management? Just before we let you go,
it's difficult because they brought in De Ligt. They did well in finding a gem in McKennie. They gave Pirlo Chiesa, which is a player that he obviously really wanted. Kind of neglected the midfield again for Chiesa. And then obviously, you land Ronaldo, whoever it was who did it. But there's issues as well. Like it's the good and bad. Giving guys who obviously don't deserve it, high salaries. And I don't really understand the Kulusevski purchase. And I think he was for Saudi, but I still don't even know where he would have played there. Maybe as a false nine, I'm not sure. And, I think you could, for me, I don't really think about Cancelo, but, selling Cancelo and Keane, two potential, I guess, holes right now is a backup center forward and, wing backs in general. So there's issues with here and there. They've done good, but they've neglected the midfield since Pogba left because at first it was Pirlo, Vidal, and then Pogba stayed one more year and then left, and they've neglected the midfield. So it's hard to argue that the management's time may be up because you were pieces away. And you just fluffed it. You fluffed it really badly. So another thing that's wrong with our management is, they suck at selling players. Like Vidal went for like 40 mil or something. And you can't get rid of any other player. Like we fluffed that Romero deal, I guess, as well. I don't know. I don't really know too much about it, but it was like 16 mil or something. Like the buyout clause is less than what we paid for him. So there's issues selling players as well. So, I mean, I don't know too much about who you would get to replace these guys in the world football. But just on the notion of should they stay or should they go? They've neglected the midfield for years, and like I said, we were pieces away, and they just screwed that up. And going back to the beginning of what we were talking about, how they've just become complacent. It's just fact. So I think it's time for changes up there as well. If we're going for this big haul and we're rejuvenating from top to bottom, then they should be going as well. And just to end off before, I get absolutely murdered out here because of this pod. I absolutely, think that if we make the top four, which, I think we should, Pirlo would get another year in my book. But the only way I would fire Pirlo is if we wouldn't make top four. Then that's just an automatic boot. I don't care how many coaches we've been through. That's disgusting. So top 4, 100%, and he would get another year in my book. But if he gets some pieces and then it's the same result, then he would get the boot. And, you can't go winless. You can only go a certain amount of time not winning things at Juve. So 1 year, 2 years max. Anything more, you go trophyless. It's, not good. And I think we're going to lose to Atalanta as well.
I was just going to say that Coppa Italia is going to be huge. I mean, it's still 2 months and a bit away. So, I mean, there could be injuries, it's unpredictable.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play a high line, have all the possession, and Atalanta's going to run rings around our team and counterattack us, and that's how they're going to win.
There you go. You heard it here first on the Calcio Guys by Monica. So, Monica, you know what? Just from the three of us, we loved your passion. We loved your fire tonight. We do really appreciate you taking the time out of your night. I know it was last minute working things out, but where can everybody find you, your podcast and everything, all the great things you do?
The main, I guess, outlets for the content. So my podcast is called Rejuvenation, and it's exactly how the word is spelt, kind of a play on this whole project that Juve is trying to do, I guess. And that's on YouTube mainly. Bits and pieces on Spotify and Apple Music. Trying to get more of it on there. And then you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Monica Lauriola.
Beautiful.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Monica.
Thanks for having me, guys. Forza Juve, anyway.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Calcio Guys. Gianni and Adreano, Gianni Delacoli. I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni. Great chat there with Monica Lauriola from Rejuvenation podcast. A lot of problems with Juve that needs to be fixed, obviously. But today we saw Atalanta lose to Real Madrid. I'm not gonna, obviously blame them or anything to lose to Real Madrid. Obviously tomorrow Lazio goes to Bayern. They're already down. Chance of coming back is minimal. So this year, I mean, if Lazio loses to Bayern, it's going to be the first year since 2016 that there's no Italian teams in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. In that span, Juve went to the final in 2017, made the quarters in 2018, 2019. Atalanta made the quarters last year. Roma made the semis in 2018, and that's it. That's all from Italy. We know no Champions League trophies since 2010. I think with the Serie A, we obviously love to praise it, right? And it's a competitive league within, and there's a lot of fun matchups, a lot of rivalries. Even though Juve's won the last 9 Scudetti, it's still a competitive league. But there's something with Italian teams. We can't get it done in Europe. It's frustrating. We want to see Italian teams win. Maybe in turn it could help out the national team and stuff. But I think maybe the FIGC or the Serie A kind of maybe has to put in development structures or financial incentives, extra financial incentives, something to boost development in the Italian game. Not only at the grassroots level, but at the professional level for the men's side, obviously. I don't know if you guys agree with me.
And what I want to add in just to your point, because it is a fantastic point, I think reason why Italian teams don't do well in terms of international competition is because we don't have the finances that some of these juggernauts have, and it's just the whole economy in Italy in general. It's hard to be a good team when you're trying to constantly dig for diamonds in the rough, and you're constantly trying to go look at these Ukrainian leagues, or you're trying to find like bargains in America or whatnot. Like, you do hit every once in a while, but you're going to get a lot of things that are not quality. And if if you look at the Italian teams in yesteryear that used to do well in European competitions, all teams were littered with fantastic stars, and these were teams that their starting 11 contained players that were very key for their national team, And right now, like for example, Rabiot is great for Juve. Is he a starter in France? Arguably, like Belgium, they were on and off with Lukaku. Now, I'm not insulting Lukaku. He's a fantastic player and he's doing amazing things for Inter. But before, mind you, Belgium is loaded with talent. So, you want to compare it to the early to mid 2000s. Ronaldinho started for Brazil, Kaká started for Brazil, Dida started for Brazil, Figo started for Portugal, Zidane, Trezeguet. I'm just naming players off the top of my head. Do we have players like that in Serie A right now? No, we don't. They're all in the Premier League. And why are they there in the Premier League? Because the Premier League has that money. It's the Hollywood of soccer. And I'm not insulting the Premier League. It's a good job for them, because even the lower table teams have better finances than some of the mid-table, higher table teams in Italy right now. And until Italy, for some reason or somehow gets out of this rut or mess economically, I don't really see Italian teams doing well in European competition.
Yeah, and just to just bounce off quickly to what Gianni mentioned, I think these are great points, and to stem away from economics, financials, and all that, like the money aspect of the game, which that's the game we're in right now, right? Everything's a business and everything like that. But I also think it's the mentality, the mentality of these clubs. It's not nowhere near the mentality that the clubs back early 2000s into the mid 2000s into the early 10s had, right? So it also doesn't help that they're not talking about grassroots level, talking about really bringing players up from their systems. I mean, it's more. You can point your fingers at so many different things about why Italian teams aren't doing good in European competitions. It's tough. I think obviously Gianni mentioned the biggest elephant in the room when you talk about money. I think our league has went through quite a transformation from what it once was to what it is now. I think there's no hiding behind that, because that's just the truth. Gianni mentioned names where we would dream to have those types of players on our rosters again. You know what I mean? So it's a tough time for Italian teams, and just the standard of our league. We've had like Nick mentioned, a great chat with Monica about Juve, and talking about really Juve has been the only source of life, if you want to say, in Europe. Obviously, they've dominated Serie A when it wasn't what it once was. So there's a lot of aspects. I think the mentality has to be there. She mentioned a good point about Champions League is a dream, right? For these top Italian teams, that should be more than just a dream. Make it into a reality. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. I do believe in our Italian teams. I think slowly but surely we will get there. But it starts in your own backyard, and if they don't get these things straightened out, I think we'll be in this rut, if you want to call it, for years to come.
Zielinski, that's a lovely pass from Zielinski for Politano. Napoli in front at San Siro. Huge blow to Milan's title hopes.
Back to the Serie A Matchday 27. We had one of the Calcio Guys derbies over here with Milan-Napoli. Politano scores, helps out his former team Inter, so Inter goes +9 on Milan, still +10 on Juve. Fantastic game for them too against Torino. Lautaro, amazing goal, 84th minute, 85th on the pass from Alexis Sanchez. I was watching the game, by the way, and the commentator, I can't stand when soccer commentators do this. It'll be like a 1-1 game with 15, 20, 25 minutes left. They'll be like, they're on their way to a draw, or it'll be a 1-0 game. Team A is on their way to a win.
Commentator curse. I can't stand it either.
I wish I would have taken this clip, because a commentator actually said, Torino are on their way to drawing Inter. Pass from Sanchez, Martinez, goal. Right as he said it, Inter scores. So shout out to all those soccer commentators. Don't say that. Just let the game play out, and then you could see it at the end of the game. But you know what? Inter deserved that game. Anyways, back to Milan-Napoli. What did you guys make of that game?
Jai, you want me to take it away, or you want to go first?
I feel like Adriano has a lot to say.
I think Adri should vent a bit, so I'll let Adri go, and then I'll add in.
Well, listen, I mean, it's tough, right? Obviously, this was a big game. We said it as we were closing last week. This was, obviously the game to watch. I think this was a big game for the top four teams in general. Depending on how this result would have, seesawed, I think it had huge implications on the teams on the pitch, themselves. If Napoli would have lost, they would have been further away from top four. If Milan would have won, they could have stayed, quote unquote, on course with Inter. -6 instead of -9. Listen, guys, I think this was a tale of two halves. If I want to say, I think. In all honesty, I think this game could have ended in a draw. I don't think any team really, proved themselves way more than the other to really merit the 3 points. I think, Milan was pressing hard in the first half. I think, again, I've said it multiple times on this podcast, not clinical enough in the final third. No spark in the final third. Leao, I don't know what to say. You think these are the types of games where he's going to really prove worthy. It didn't show. And I think it sucks because they had a decent first half. Obviously, it ended 0-0 in the first half. Coming out of second half, Napoli caught them on a good counter, and we know Napoli can counter, and we know on their day Napoli has the players. To really, trouble you offensively. And that's exactly what happened, right? They, Teo Hernandez, darts forward, and he's been doing that ever since he came, right? Nobody covered his void that was left on that side. What happens? Politano gets a nice pass by, I don't remember, was it Zielinski? I don't remember.
I believe so.
Johnny, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so. It's funny. During that moment, I actually got up to go get myself a glass of water, and then all I hear is Politano, and I'm like, "What?"
So yeah, I'm checking right now. It was Zielinski, and again, on his day, he can put it on a ball that not many players can put, and yeah, they Milan turns over the ball with Davao, passing the ball inside. Kessie kind of jumping up too, wasn't I guess in his quote unquote position, and we left that gap that was open, right? And credit to Napoli because they took advantage of that counterattack and they put it away. But it wasn't a spectacular finish. I mean, no disrespect to Politano, he got it, but that shot wasn't anything fantastic. He kind of fluffed it and it went in out of Donnarumma's reach. So fair game. Milan had no answer after that. Again, I think it was pretty much an even game if you want to talk about stats, and each team had their times of pressing and whatnot, and Milan had no answer in the final third once again. So credit to Napoli, they got a big win in their hopes of finishing top four, and you know what, it sucks that I don't know, maybe these injuries are finally catching up to us. Fair. It's no excuse because I think this team has shown good things with a depleted bench or depleted starting 11. Sorry, and yeah, Napoli finally kind of getting into their own, having the option now with Mertens back in, obviously not 100%, but him back in, and having a guy like Osimhen that can come on. In that second half with fresh legs, and we all know his pace. We all know what he brings up top to just really give problems to Milan's back line. It helps as well. So I think it could have easily have ended in a draw. I think it ended up being a 1-0 win for Napoli, and credit to them, they got the job done. But a little bit disappointing on Milan's end for not really taking this game by the horns, and maybe a bit of fatigue from Thursday in the Europa League against United, but again, no excuses in my books.
I mean, the goal came from Politano shooting from his off foot, and it was the only opportunity he had because it was the only way to catch Donnarumma off guard because he really had to place it way out of his way because Donnarumma was covering every angle for a left foot shot, no matter what. So. Yeah. One thing that needs to be said is that the reason why Napoli managed to do this well is that for once in a while, like for once in a long time, that back line actually played very well, and it wasn't just Koulibaly playing well that saves everybody's ass. Di Lorenzo played well, and surprisingly enough, Hisai was actually good. He was actually good this game. Milan turned it on in the last 10 minutes. If Milan would have played with that intensity the entire game, I don't think it would have ended 1-0 for Napoli. I'm not saying Napoli played bad, but like Tomori for you guys, it was hard to beat on the one-on-one. Nobody was getting past him on the one-on-one, so it took I want to call Politano's shot a miracle shot, but let's try a curveball. It was a curveball that just happened to work out for Napoli. So I'm happy with the result. If I was going into that game expecting a draw, to be completely fair, I didn't think that Napoli was gonna walk away with the W. And especially at the end when with Rebic, okay, there was a bit of contact. Is it enough for a penalty call? I don't know. But my heart kind of stopped, because it was in the box.
Oh, no, it was on Teo. It was on Teo.
It was on Teo? It was on...
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
My heart kind of stopped because it was in the box, and I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. Knowing recent history for Milan this season,
a little help from the rigore.
No, but still,
we've seen those been given. It's crazy, but listen, I don't think it was a penalty. I think it would have been a real, thing that would have blown up Twitter, blown up everything. If they would have given it, I would have been like
too softly for that little touch. That's what it was. It is
fair.
Like he did challenge there. He definitely did try to challenge for the ball, but I guess he was hesitant because
he didn't get the ball neither, right? So
exactly. But
it's one of those things that if it would have been given, it would have been soft, but it wasn't given, and we can kind of look back and say we've seen some questionable calls given in the box. This happened to Milan's way.
I've seen Mertens with the Phantom versus, remember that Fiorentina game?
There you go.
Like all up in his face.
That's one in mind, right? So
yeah,
it's one of those things up in air.
Yeah. So it was a good game from both teams. It was very unfortunate that the way it ended the way it did, where seemed like as if there was some kind of bad blood between the two, But
yeah,
I give props to Milan, and you know what, Napoli, the back. I think the reason why Napoli even got a result this game is because for once that back line played fantastic as a unit. Not saying not just one player, fantastic. Everybody played well, and that's what helped them get the W.
Yeah.
All right, there's a lot to talk about in the Serie A. Let's use our cards and MVPs to give a shout out to whatever else we want to talk about. We had two guys getting hat tricks this weekend, and we could easily use our MVPs for that. Gianni, I know last week you kind of said, you made a comment how I write down a bunch of names in the MVP section in our notes. I only take one. You could take whoever. I put all the names in case you guys want. I just put all the names. I make my decision pretty much in the spot. So, I don't care. You take one of those. Those are just guys I think did well. But that's why I like to go last too when we do it. So I have my options open. But let's go ahead. Let's do our MVPs then.
Ja, you have anybody in mind? Or you
well,
want me to take it away?
I would take it away. I'm gonna. I'll go with the homer pick. I wrote it before we started the show, and I'm going to keep going with it. Just to touch, I already explained before, but Koulibaly was a machine that game. Really helped Napoli get the W. He was solid, and there's not enough that was the Koulibaly of early days Koulibaly. I'm not saying he's old, but what a unit. He played fantastic, and I really love the guy, and I'm really happy he plays for Napoli. So he gets my MVP of the week.
Hey,
no, it's well said. But there was a lot of action in Serie A. If you want to talk about the thriller between Sassuolo and Verona, that was back and forth. Obviously, Sassuolo at the end with Traoré getting the winner, was fantastic. Obviously it didn't go Atalanta's way this week. Today, excuse me. In Champions League, I think there was things that went wrong there, but they had a great win and comfortable win against Spezia. Bologna, another team that got an impressive win against Sampdoria. But for me, I'm gonna go for a guy I've named his name before, and I think it was definitely an obvious pick, but Vlahovic for me, MVP of the week this week. Getting his hat trick. There's all kinds of stats that go along with it. He's the first Fiorentina, first young player since this and that. You guys know the stats. Vlahovic came out to play, once again this season. Against the Benevento team that, 1 week can give you trouble. The other week, it looks like they're Serie B quality. But again, I think Vlahovic, and I don't want to overhype him because, he's still young, right? And he still has a lot of growth to do. But I think his performances as of late, this week, this match day included with the hat trick, was definitely merited from one of our MVPs of the week. He's just a player that I think, like I said, has the room to grow, and he's on a Fiorentina team that we always shake our heads about because it's like they have some good pieces, but they play horrible, and it's always a mess with Fiorentina. But I think if there's one bright spot, I think it's Vlahovic's name. I think he definitely merits, some sort of praise. It's if he can keep it up. It's if he can, take this talent to another level, maybe on a different club. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors of him, potentially leaving Fiorentina. I don't know. But his hat trick this match day, Vlahovic gets my MVP.
Vlahovic with a good touch up against Glick. Can he get a strike on goal? Oh, Dusan Vlahovic gets his first half hat trick, a clinical strike into the top corner.
So for me, I mean, the obvious choice would be going, the other guy who did get the hat trick, Ronaldo. He brought, rumor has it when he brought home the match ball, he also took home a piece of Cranio's chin. So I'm gonna
Disgusting.
I'm gonna go with another. I'm gonna go with another pick. I'm gonna go with Musa Baro from Bologna. Goal and an assist. He scored the opening goal in the game, and then got an assist. And I think this was a pretty important win for Bologna. Just one of those mid-table teams, right? They're not not going to get relegated. They're not making Europe either, but they were 4 points behind Sampdoria heading into the game, and now they're only a point behind. They're still 2 points behind Udinese. So there's it's that set of teams like Udinese, Sampdoria, Bologna, Fiorentina, even Genoa this season. That just, Gage, you always say they're just chilling. They're just chilling there, right? They're just in the middle of nowhere. They want to finish in the top 10. Good for money. So I guess that's their goal. But Musa Baro for me gets the MVP. So I guess we'll finish our show with the cards. Then we'll finish on the sad side of things. But before we get to cards, there were a couple of other players I think we wanted to mention. Simi, 2 goals in the 3-2 loss for Crotone against Lazio. Lazio again need a late goal from
that was
Caicedo.
Crazy. That was crazy.
Just so typical of him. Come on, score a late goal, leave.
But what else is crazy? Sorry, just to cut you off. You know what else is crazy? That it took that for Lazio to get over Crotone. And no disrespect to Crotone, and no disrespect to Lazio. We have a lot of Lazio friends, that love our podcast.
I could see Jerry already typing in the group chat right now. Actually.
Exactly, and I don't want to get aggravated, but I don't know, man. Like Lazio, with that performance, I was surprised that they had to really sweat as much as they did in that match against Crotone. Maybe it was the festivities of Immobile winning the Scarpa d'Oro or finally getting his merited trophy. I don't know. Maybe it's that crazy new tattoo he's getting. I don't know.
Boy. Oh, my.
Or that he got. Sorry, not that he's getting. He got fantastic work. But
you saw it, huh, Gianni? You saw it.
The one with
Immobile
Jessica
tattoo
on it and all that stuff.
I mean,
Yeah, he's got the whole sleeve right now. I can't wait to see it on the pitch.
I'm not gonna, I don't want to judge a man on his tattoo, but it's a lot. It's a lot,
It takes a lot of balls. He got the whole sleeve. It really shows family first for him. And you know what? Listen, a lot of Immobile haters out there. We're fans of him. So
beautiful wife, 3 kids. I mean, the guy plays soccer for a living. The guy's living the dream. Honestly,
living the life.
La vie. Sure.
So, I want one more thing I want to bring up. You guys notice a new player on Parma, Valentin Mihaila? It's as if, I don't know, it's what is this, like fake Mihailovic or something? Mihaila. Like, where's the rest of the name, He's a Romanian, 21 years old. Scored against Roma, and I know Gianni's going to bring that up in the cards. But let's go reverse order for the cards now. My card, I'm going to have to give it to Theo Hernandez. Really not good performance against Napoli. He looks frustrated. Honestly, he looks frustrated. There was that whole thing at the end of the game, the penalties, the cards coming out. He had that bad tackle on Osimhen, was it?
Osimhen, yeah.
Osimhen, yeah.
He flew from the left-hand side to the other side. And,
yeah. It's true. It was on the opposite side of the pitch.
It was a lot of contact. I mean, I don't know if we want to say about the referee's play in this game. I don't know, but continue on.
Yeah, he looked frustrated, and then even on the goal, he just let Politano just walk by him. He looked like he had no effort. A lot of people want to call him the best left back in the Serie A, which I think at this point I think he still is. Obviously I think Gosens is up there too in the conversation. But when you're having games like this, when you're going through a rough stretch, when you want to be the best at your position, you have to step up mentally. And that's the tough thing about being an athlete, is that whole mental game. When you're going through bad stretches, it's all fun and games. It's all easy when you're winning, but when you're losing, it's not like that. Nothing's given on a silver platter. And I think for Theo, I know he's still young. It's almost like the first real challenge with Milan. Even last season was good. So I think, if you want to be a leader on that team, and this is a young team too, right? Milan, besides pretty much besides Zlatan, it's a young team. If you want to be a leader, you step up, you show that you're ready to battle any type of adversity, and you don't let your weaknesses show. Obviously inside it's gonna hurt a lot, but you can't let that show on the outside. So for me, that's gonna be a yellow card for Theo.
This is definitely gonna be another yellow.
You guys? Let's do Adreano then, since we're doing reverse order.
Yeah, we're doing reverse order. So this is gonna look like me and Nick are going back at it. He picked a Milan player, now I'm gonna pick a Juve player, but I swear it's not. That's not what it is. Listen, didn't get the red card in the game. I'm giving him the red card on the show tonight on the podcast. For me, and it's not gonna be, straight on attack on him, but I don't know. In my eyes, that's a red card for Ronaldo on that incident with Cragno. Listen, I don't know how other people interpret it. High boot, caught him straight in the face. I mean, that's dangerous play. Like we've seen dangerous play where studs up on the shin. When Van Dijk almost took out Mertens' leg. We've seen dangerous play with studs up. We've seen some calls. Apparently, studs up weren't given. Whatever. We've seen a lot with the studs up and just high boot. In general, but in my eyes, like I said, that merited a red card in the game. Obviously, without that, he ended up getting a hat trick. I don't think it was really merited if he would have been sent off, right? So. Just crazy for me personally how that wasn't given a red card. I think that's almost an obvious thing. High boot, catches him in the face, and what did you want? Any higher? He was going to catch him in the eye. It's crazy to me. It's dangerous play. We've seen guys get it in the chest, given a red card. We've seen other plays with less of severity and seen red cards given. I don't know. It just, for me, and I'm not saying that Ronaldo was intending to hurt Cragno. I don't think that was. Obviously, you have that killer instinct in front of the goal. You want to get on every ball, sure. But listen, you had your leg up high, stud straight to the face. Cranial literally took it on the chin. And kudos to him for sticking in there. He obviously was bleeding and whatnot, but like I said, didn't get it in the game. But I'm giving it to him tonight on the podcast, or just that play in general, where there should have been a red card. I'm giving that red card tonight on the podcast.
Gonna go to the pocket and get out the red. It's a red card.
I guess the only logical explanation for why it wasn't a red and just a yellow was that maybe because it's in the box, it's going, it's a goal scoring opportunity. The ball was in the air. I don't know. I think that's the only logical
There's no excuse in my opinion. There's no excuse.
Was it Maresca or Cavarese? I forget if it was Maresca or Cavarese, the coach. They had Ronaldo in front of Calcio. Maybe it was that. Gianni?
I wouldn't be surprised.
So my red card, surprise, is going to go to Roma as a whole.
Nobody saw that one coming. No, continue, Jack. We had to talk about this. Because that was crazy. There's
no way you lose to Parma 2-0, a team in 19th place. It's embarrassing. I think Fonseca got it wrong. That's why you saw that massive substitution. Those three substitutions made at the 50th minute. After Parma put it up 2-0 because of a foul in the box and getting a nice little penalty and stuff. And I think basically the game just started off with them being caught off guard. And I think the team just didn't have any confidence in themselves. And I think it's just been a story for the team the entire season where the inconsistencies have caused them to have no confidence in themselves, that they were scrambling and, 20 goal attempts, I think only 6 were on target. Some great plays, but too complicated, too over the top. Just keep it simple. There were some opportunities, but I think Roma themselves, this game, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. No, I wouldn't say that anybody played it right. From Fonseca's decisions to the way they played on the field defensively and offensively, it was a big failure as a whole. They get a red card because your team that's supposed to be fighting for a 4th place spot. You're not supposed to lose to the 19th place team, so they get a red card for me.
This is going to be a red card. And is that going to change the course of the game?
All right, so that'll do it for us.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Anyway, quickly, sorry, Nick, especially in a season like this season for Roma, where it seems like they can always sweep away the bottom table teams and not beat the top teams. That was even another thing that surprised me about that matchup. But Nick, sorry to cut you off.
I was going to say, coming up is the last weekend before the international break. Italy has 3 World Cup qualifiers. The U21 team is playing the group stage of Euro 2021 U21, 2021 Euro U21, however you want to say it. A lot of 20s and a lot of 21s. It's going to be an exciting time for the Azzurri. And Adriano, where can you find us on social media?
And just before we let go, we drop it off on this episode of the Calcio Guys. Just wanted to say, I'm looking through the notes here. Juventus Gallery, we didn't say your question in it was brought up in the conversation, so I still want to shout you guys out. Thank you for the question. And we can't leave without asking Mas Ricciol's question. He asked the question this week.
Oh, yeah.
He's part of our WhatsApp group, so shout out to everybody in the WhatsApp group. Much love to you guys. We also didn't answer another question that we mentioned off air. I'll bring it up again. But Mas Riccio, and this is straight to Gianni. This is Derby della Giannine, as we like to call it here on the Calcio Guys. Napoli Roma this week. And his question simply is, who's Gianni rooting for this week with Roma playing Napoli? We never know, Mas, but Ja, what do you have to say about this?
So my choice for this week is... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That
was not technical difficulties.
Honestly, just given the scenario, I would like for I even have a hard time saying this because I'm going to get lynched. I'm going to get lynched by, no matter what, by one side. And this is my hubris. This is my problem. I would want Napoli to get the win because I want Roma to, for pardon my language, wake the fuck up. Maybe for them, try to stop making a push for top four in Italy right now because of the inconsistencies, and who knows, maybe have a miracle run in Europa League, and maybe like they already have a 3-0 lead against Shakhtar, and my inconsistencies with Roma go so deep that I'm not even confident in them holding up that 3-0 lead going into the second leg, so I kind of want Napoli to win because realistically between the two, Napoli has the better chance of solidifying themselves in the top four. I think Roma in the top four would make them it would be an illusion of what they have. It would be an illusion that everybody thinks they're a team that's capable of being a top four team when in reality they're not. But now financial wise, what's the better spot for Roma? Do you just try to go for maybe better return in the league or better return in Europa? And I wish I knew the answers because I don't know the payouts that well. But I think European competition placement might be worth it more in the long run than league placement. But that's just my personal opinion. So I think maybe a loss for Roma might just tell them to oh, wow, okay. And mind you, they did lose last game. It was what was it? It was when they last played, it was 4-1 Napoli. So I don't think Roma's got a team that's capable of beating Napoli. So for this game, I'm going to go with Napoli to win.
Deep down, Johnny wants a draw, but on the podcast, he's saying Napoli. But
he's going to wear his Napoli shirt, and then when Roma wins, he takes off his Napoli shirt and he's wearing Roma.
I'm going topless. That's what you guys don't know about.
Topless. But meanwhile, he's wearing both Roma and Napoli shorts, where you can't see because he's cutting it off. Maybe, I don't know. But talking quickly about top four, our boys at the Milan guys asked top four predictions. Now we mentioned it off air. We're gonna bring it back on air. It's Inter, Juve, Milan, and Atalanta, and Gianni put in Napoli in there. Those could flip flop. That's what it is.
Yeah, I said
yeah.
What did I Inter, Juve, Milan, Atalanta, and that's what I said a few weeks ago, and I'm not changing that.
Yeah, those are going to flip flop like we mentioned, but yeah, I think that's all we have. Fingers crossed for Lazio tomorrow, Milan and Roma in Europa League to hopefully progress. And like we say every week, guys, thank you so much for all the support, questions, and all the interactions. Where you can find us at the Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Give it a like, subscribe, share it, and we'll be back next week to talk a lot more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.